Welcome into the PFF State of the Franchise. It is your Baltimore Ravens edition. Sam, I think the big question in Baltimore surrounds the offense, and is Joe Flacco elite? That's obviously the real question. No, he's not. Look, we've been harsh on Flacco over the past couple of years, but we have to admit,
fair.
Harsh but fair.
Yeah.
Certainly not the best supporting cast, though. When we look at the receivers that he's been throwing to, and Baltimore's at least trying to fix that. Michael Crabtree coming in, John Brown coming in. They brought Ryan Grant in and just failed his physical to make sure that they could sign Crabtree. They're doing everything they can to make Flacco look good.
Ryan Grant almost in.
Almost.
Yeah, I mean, they have had one of the worst receiving corps in the league for a few years now. It has been an issue, even in terms of running backs, tight ends. There haven't been that many guys for Flacco to throw to. I give them full credit for trying to repair that in free agency. They still have the draft to come to try and attack it as well. They're at least giving him the supporting cast because they're still locked into that contract. They can't get out from underneath the Joe Flacco contract yet, so let's at least try and surround him with better talent. Michael Crabtree from the Raiders is a good receiver. He may not be a star, but he's a solid starting receiver. He can do a lot of nice things. He can make some big plays. I think that's a big guy to get in. Poor old Ryan Grant with the failed physical. They're at least trying to upgrade, though. I think they are making the right moves. Danny Woodhead retiring, though, I think is a significant hole for that offense to try and fill. They need to find that matchup weapon out of the backfield that can be a factor as well.
Look, when Flacco was at his best, early in his career, he was at least aggressive. He was never a great quarterback, but he was able to go on that Super Bowl run, and they were able to win a lot of games because he would at least attack down the field and had guys that could go up and get the ball, like Anquan Bolden, like Todd Heap, even had Mike Wallace for that short time where he'd at least attempt those downfield passes. He's lost some of that aggression, and I don't know if it's just the confidence that he has in his receivers, but that's where he needs to take strides again, get back to that aggressive self, and that's why I think Baltimore needs to be aggressive to continue to try to add these playmakers around him. That's your only chance to get the best out of Flacco.
Here's the thing, though, and this is the number that really highlights the decline of Joe Flacco. The analytics guys at PFF have run numbers, and they've discovered that the most predictive number you can come up with a quarterback is how he performs from a clean pocket, the stable environment, the easy stuff, the thing that is the most repeatable because that's where everything else is a constant. Joe Flacco's passer rating from a clean pocket has declined in each of the past 3 seasons. It's fallen from a high of 108 back in 2014 to 87.6 last season. His yards per attempt from a clean pocket has fallen from 8.1 back in 2014 to just 5.8 last year. His play, even under the most ideal circumstances, has been steeply falling off, so they need to do something.
So that's rough. So that's not where you want to be going, especially from a clean pocket, whereas he's essentially an average to below average quarterback. If you just put him in a clean pocket and took pressure out of it, everybody drops when they face pressure. So let me ask this big question. Are you moving on from Joe Flacco if you're the Ravens, or at least attempting to, because they're still kind of stuck to that big contract?
And that's the thing. You can't move on from him yet. At the very best, all you can do is start searching for his replacement now, and you probably can't do that in the first round because you are tied to this guy for a while, as well as not being in the best situation to grab one of these top quarterbacks. So I think you're going to have to target a guy in the mid-rounds. You're going to have to at least look at a secondary tier of quarterback, which isn't the worst thing in the world given that you're probably not going to be starting any of these guys on day one. By the way, you can find those Joe Flacco numbers yourself. Look through his decline in number form the way I did. All part of Premium Stats, part of your PFF Elite package.
I'm sure Ravens fans are dying to go year by year to see the whole breakdown.
Dive right into the Joe Flacco decline.
I would go right to 2012 and see that Super Bowl stretch because that's all in there too.
But the guy I think you might want to be looking at in those second, third round, a guy like Kyle Lauletta out of Richmond, has incredible accuracy, saw some really nice stuff from his play. Maybe given the leap up in competition you're going to be expecting from him, you might want him learning for a year or so behind Flacco before you get him on the field. But I think they need to start looking for that guy because even if they swing and a miss on him in the second or third round this year, you're still going to need to find that Joe Flacco replacement.
Mike White would be my guy. Western Kentucky, I think he could be a nice mid-round fit as well. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball because, again, this is where the Ravens they've been in the playoff hunt almost every year of Flacco's career, in part because they had this really good supporting cast. But the defense has been a little hit or miss these last couple of years. I like a lot of the stuff that they've done in the secondary with Tony Jefferson and Eric Weddle at safety. Last year they go Marlon Humphrey in the first round at corner, and when he's healthy and on the field, he's good. Jimmy Smith, when he's healthy, he's good. But what about edge rusher? Is this a place where they need to go in the first round? It's a weak edge rusher class, but you have Terrell Suggs there. They brought Tim Williams in last year in the third round. They have Tyus Bowser last year in the second round. Those guys are unproven right now. It feels like this is another place that they can attack.
Yeah, they've also got Tavon Young in the secondary as well. I think that group of corners is really interesting and really good when they're all healthy. Edge is a big question mark for them this year. They need to decide, do they go back to the well again, trying to get another edge rusher? Because again, Terrell Suggs is their one outstanding edge rush presence. Last year, he was their best edge rusher again. Do they wait for those young guys to try and develop in years 2, years 3, or have they got to take another shot at drafting an edge rusher and trying to go back to that well and actually hit on a guy for once? We don't know whether those guys are going to come good or whether they just haven't been able to find the right players.
The Ravens have generally really liked their power players like Suggs, and I think if you look at a Marcus Davenport out of UTSA, he's had hype as high as top 10. Some people have him in the second round. If you get him for the right price, he's a guy that can develop and be that power edge type defender. But I do think it's, playmakers that are needed off the edge. They still have the big run stoppers in Brandon Williams and Michael Pierce. And so, look, I think the roster is close. I think when you look at offensive playmakers, defensive pass rushers, those are the places they really need to improve. What about offensive line? Ryan Jensen just signed a massive deal to play center, and he's coming off of a breakout season, but it was only one real season of unbelievable production. They've got Matt Skura, former Duke player, just slotted in right now at center. Could this be a sneaky place where the Ravens get a Frank Ragnow or one of these other starting centers in the first or second round?
They could definitely look to go that way. I wouldn't write off Matt Skura just yet. He was a guy that graded very well in PFF's system. He was a guy that I think is probably limited to being a center only. He doesn't have the power to play guard and be isolated one-on-one with much bigger defensive linemen, but moved inside to center, I think he could actually end up being a sneaky little addition to this team that'll make them pretty good.
The one other place to look, Alex Lewis right now, third-year player, currently slotted in to start at right tackle. The offensive tackle class is okay this year. It's better than it's been, I think, or better than it was last year at least. Mike McGlinchey out of Notre Dame, Connor Williams out of Texas, two guys we have first-round grades on. I think that could be a good fit as well. Not a flashy pick for Baltimore, who, like I said, I want those playmakers, but solidified in that offensive line at tackle could also help.
What about history repeating itself? We had Orlando Brown the first playing back in Baltimore. We could get Orlando Brown the son, Baby Zeus.
I don't know if I want the big, slow-footed right tackle, though.
For today's NFL?
Not in today's NFL. Not with those speedy edge rushers. I mean, look, he's worth a third-round pick maybe, but, man, if you could get McGlinchey in the first round, really solidify that offensive line, really like what Ronnie Stanley's done at left tackle. They're former teammates. It was Stanley at left tackle, McGlinchey at right tackle in college. I like that combination in the NFL as well.
Yeah, and as bad as Orlando Brown's workout numbers were, and they were terrible, awful, his actual grades in the pass blocking wasn't that bad. Allowed just 1 sack, 11 total pressures last season. This is a guy that has held up okay, albeit in a relatively quirky spread offense that doesn't necessarily translate to the next level. There is a possibility that he is a better player than the workout numbers would suggest, and he can get by at the next level because that strength and that ability to just engulf people at the point of attack is incredible.
Look, there's a couple different ways that the Ravens can go. Want to see more playmakers, want to see a little bit more O-line depth, and I think those defensive pass rushers, places the Ravens have to attack in the draft. I think the roster's close, have to address those key areas, though. That is the Baltimore Ravens State of the Franchise, and it's been powered by PFF Elite.